Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperial Guard as we get into the Macharius Heavy Tank. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and if you have any suggestions for other vehicles or anything else of the 40K Universe that you guys would like to see a video about, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Macharius Heavy Tank. Sometime during the middle of the 41st millennium, a Magos from the Forge World of Lucius, known as Nalax, discovered the partial data remnants of a long-forgotten battle tank that was used during the Great Crusade. After many years of diligent study and cross-examination of ancient documents recovered deep within the archives of Lucius, Nalax was able to gather enough of the data to construct the Macharius Heavy Tank. The tank was named after Lord Solar Macharius, the great imperial general who led the Macharian Crusade and liberated 1,000 worlds in the name of the Emperor of Mankind. Nalax made the journey to Mars and spoke with the High Fabricator General for approval to begin manufacturing the Macharius. The process of approval took nearly 200 Terran years. After long testing and consultations with many Forge Worlds, Lucius was finally sanctioned to start production by the Mechanicus. Unfortunately, Nalax himself did not live to see the outcome. To make matters worse, in the time it took for the plans of the tank's construction to be approved, the Forge World had also lobbied for and been given the right to build the more sought-after Bane Blades, and it seemed that Nalax's life's work had been wasted. But soon after the Forge World started its production of the Bane Blades, it found that the demand far exceeded supply, and that the planet's manufactorums were having trouble keeping up with the requirements of the Departamental Minitorum. At the same time, the 500-year-long Krieg Civil War came to an end, with a faction loyal to the Imperium victorious, and the world soon offered up many new regiments for the Imperial Guard. The Departamental Minitorum looked to the Forge World of Lucius to provide much of the equipments needed for this new regiment, known as the Death Corps of Krieg. This sudden and unexpected increase in demand meant that the Forge World would need to look to alternatives to the Bane Blade. It was then that the Forge World turned to the Macharius Heavy Tank. The first Macharius tank from Lucius rolled off from the production lines and were shipped off to Krieg. This began the Death Corps of Krieg's association with the Macharius tank, although by this time Mars had given the design to various other Forge Worlds, and they were in use by other Imperial Guard regiments as well. Although the 174-ton Macharius lacked the massive size and multitude of weapons that the Bane Blade had, the tank was still capable of fulfilling the same battlefield role. To this day, the standard and most common armaments for the Macharius is a turret-mounted twin-linked battle cannon, a hull-mounted twin-linked heavy stubber, and a sponson-mounted heavy bolter on each side. There are other less common variants of the Macharius, such as the Macharius Vanquisher, that is armed with twin-link Vanquisher cannons as its main weapon, and another variant pattern called the Macharius Vulcan, which has a Vulcan Mega Bolter as the main turret weapon. The Macharius Vanquisher is rare because of its unique Vanquisher cannons, which almost disappeared from Imperial records due to the actions of the Orc warlord Argod the Defiler, who scoured the Forge World of Tigris in the 35th millennium, destroying the standard template construct for the construction of the Vanquisher cannon. Since that loss, efforts have been made to reproduce more Vanquisher cannons on other Forge Worlds with only mixed success. The Forge World of Trebor 1, Gryphone 4, and Styges 8 have enjoyed the most success and are now capable of producing Vanquisher cannons in limited quantities. Other Forge Worlds continue their efforts, though it is a slow and complex process. The Macharius Vulcan is extremely rare because its weapon was designed for a Titan. It was actually on the Forge World of Lucius where the first experiments with mounting the Vulcan Mega Bolter onto tanks happened. Many of the machine spirits reacted badly to these efforts, and failed rituals led to the destruction of many tanks before relatively stable patterns were developed. As servitors mounted this weapon onto the Macharius, engine seers poured sacred oils over the cogs to placate the volatile machine spirit into accepting the modifications. Even after the components and rituals come together, and the violent machine successfully comes to life, it takes a particularly brave or wild crew to risk driving this vehicle into battle. The Death Corps of Krieg fielded many Macharius tanks during the 17-year-long Siege of Vrax, where they blunted the enemy armored thrust, due in no small part to days of multiple delaying actions done by the valiant Krieg tank commanders. Unfortunately, it was during this same campaign that the Vextrayan traitor militia captured Macharius tanks for their own use. The Macharius heavy tanks were also used by the Death Corps of Krieg during the Das campaign, where they participated in the eradication of Nurgle-aligned mutant army. The Macharius heavy tanks were also used by the Death Corps of Krieg during the Das campaign, where they participated in the eradication of the Nurgle-aligned mutant armies of the world of Dask in the Segmentum Tempestus. Various tank commander squadrons were used as line breakers at the head of an overwhelming infantry offensive. It was during one of these strategic battlefield maneuvers, followed by a gruesome war of attrition, that would see the glorious death of Colonel 186, as he charged at the front of 400 men to retake a strategic hill. Although a success, the tank squadrons were severely depleted by the time their transports, the Memento Mori, arrived to ship them to another war zone. While it is unclear, this entire heavy tank regiment might have been entirely destroyed while counterattacking Necron phalanxes during the Orphean War. The regiment's brave sacrifice during the Battle of the Outhall Depression allowed for the Imperial forces to encircle and defeat the Necron advance, the regiment's tanks even having to break formation and charge into the Necron phalanxes to avoid aerial assaults. Many tank crews detonating their fuel and ammunition reserves in a last act of spite against the Necrons. And those were 40 facts on the Macharius heavy tank. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Facebook, Reddit, whatever social media you guys use. It really helps out the channel when you do so. The thing to take away from this lore is the amount of time and the backstory that comes with making a tank or making some type of weapon for the Imperium, and making it mainstream. It takes a lot of time, there's a lot of negotiation, and half the time it's not even the people who initially wanted to see or created the weapon that actually get to see it on the battlefield. So if you ever kit bash anything for the Imperium, it's rare to actually see somebody kit bash like tanks and stuff like that, which kind of makes sense. But if you do decide to kit bash a special tank for your Imperial Guard army or for your Space Marines or what have you, just understand that there's so much room for you to play with the creation of this tank. Is it something that was modified from like a Lehman Russ? Is it something that was modified and then seen as heretical because it did so well? Really play around with that lore of having this kit bash model that you have for the Imperium, make it grander than it actually is, and really give it a good story. That way, when you play it on the tabletop, even if you are using the rules of a Lehman Russ or of a standard tank within the codex, at least it has that background and that lore that will give you more benefit, or will give you more reason to play it. But yeah, I just thought about that when I was reading the lore for this tank. If you guys have any other suggestions, comment down below. If you guys have any questions or any requests for us to create videos for a specific topic that will help you with your lore, or if you want to share your lore, comment down below. Comment down below or get a hold of us on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks for all the support, guys. Don't forget we have a Patreon, so if you enjoy what we do, jumping over to Patreon and supporting us with $1 a month will help us create 40K videos forever, hopefully. Or until we become servitors and we do this mindlessly. But yeah, thanks for everything, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Put my freedom first in anything.